What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast, Ring of Honor edition. What? Yeah, we're doing one of these. It's maybe the first time that we've ever done that, or at least the second time. It's a rarity on the channel, but nevertheless, we got Death Before Dishonor 2022 coming out this weekend, so we are going to give you a full preview of what we know so far, give you our predictions of the matches and everything else that we're going to normally run down here that we usually do at the Pay-Per-Viewpoint. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango. Joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
Yeah, I'm here. We're talking Ring of Honor. Death Before Dishonor. Is this the first Ring of Honor pay-per-view predictions podcast we've ever done?
You know, I don't think we did a dedicated pay-per-view point for Supercard. I think we just incorporated that into the hot tags. So yeah, I think, technically speaking, All In, I guess, was a Ring of Honor event, right?
I remember doing All In with you and thinking, oh, this is so cool. We're doing like a non-WWE thing. And I guess like that shows how much the industry has grown.
Yeah.
Because, this is our third promotion now that we cover.
And it's something that I'm legitimately excited to check out, and not just sort of like, maybe we'll talk about this random Impact thing, or maybe, NWA Power for 3 weeks was something that I watched. And then
that show was so fun when it first started.
Good theme song, at the very least.
Yep.
But we got 5 matches to talk about, and then honestly, we normally usually do a thing of like, what matches do you think are going to be added to the card? I have no friggin' idea, so that's not even a factor, really. They could announce literally anything, and I'll be like, sure, makes sense, because we don't even know what the roster is for Ring of Honor. We don't know who carries over from previous contracts, except for a few names that we know, like, for sure. And there could be new people that he has signed, he being Tony Khan. There could be people from AEW showing up, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 people here on this card. Ring of Honor is in a weird state of flux right now. It is essentially AEW sister company, but not really a part of AEW. I actually have
not directly linked to AEW.
It's like a partnership where the person owns the same thing. So it's, what I guess we could equate it to. KFC and Taco Bell are owned by the same company. They're both owned by Pepsi. So if you go to KFC, you don't see Coke there. If you go to Taco Bell, you don't see Coke.
You're blowing my mind.
You didn't know that?
What? No, I definitely didn't know that the parent company was Pepsi.
Oh, dude, like only a few companies own everything. If you ever look at a map for like Viacom, for instance, you'll be like, wait a minute, they own this and this and this, and News Corp owns not just the Fox things, but they own these random brands. And yeah,
that's interesting.
I don't know, we're going a completely side tangent when it comes to that, but like it's baffling. So that's why you see those combined things where it's like KFC, Taco Bell, and Long John Silver's and all.
That makes a lot of sense. It's just something I guess I've never thought about. But yeah, it makes total sense.
I don't know if this is for the people I don't like. I thought you were talking about Ring of Honor or whatever, but
we're going to talk about Ring of Honor, yes.
We will. But for instance, I'm looking at a graph right now that says PepsiCo owns Quaker, so that means all the like Captain Crunch and whatnot, those cereals and everything. They own Lay's potato chips. So that's all Cheetos and Doritos and all that. They own Tropicana. They've got, Chewy, it looks like, or no, maybe that's not the right thing. I don't know. This graphic is too tiny for me to read, but they are all over the place. So it's kind of like that where, Tony Khan owns both Ring of Honor and AEW, but they're not quite the same. It's not like it's AEW presents Ring of Honor, although if you see on smartcomoment.com on the list of the champions, I bothered to just put the Ring of Honor champions under the AEW one. I'm not going to make a separate page.
Until they have a separate show and it feels like a separate company, I don't see a reason to do that.
Right. Now, when they do that, maybe I will, or maybe I'll just wait until 2023 and get that set up. But, for now, AEW presents, Ring of Honor presents Death Before Dishonor.
Well, here's a fun place to start since we can't say what's going to be added to the card. Do you think that this is the weekend we get an announcement of streaming service or something to do with a Ring of Honor TV show?
If they would have done a little bit of we've got a major announcement coming up, then I think so. But I don't think so now. I kind of assume this is sort of like what AEW did, where they did those maybe 6 or 7. I forget how many it was, but it was Double or Nothing and Fighter Fest and all these separate little events before they were hey, we're going to go to TNT. I don't think Ring of Honor is going to get that announcement, but if they want to announce it, now's the time to do it if they're able to.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we just hear it's the new Wrestleverse, whatever you want to call it, streaming service, and it's got all of AEW, all of Ring of Honor, and by the way, HBO Max has a live component now, and by the way, all the pay-per-views are going to be there. Great, that's what I want.
I think more than likely, instead of a separate dedicated thing that's got AEW and Ring of Honor and that's it, like the WWE Network, I think that we're looking more at HBO Max, where it's just, a separate channel on HBO Max for Ring of Honor, a separate channel for AEW, the live component, the pay-per-views are all there. I think that's what they're waiting for. As far as I know, HBO hasn't said when that live thing's happening, so they might just kind of be waiting on that timeline. But then again, I'm going to be checking this out at Bleacher Report, so at least for now, that is where you can check that out, and then I'll probably be writing some stuff up about it there. I know I'm going to have my predictions thing, but that's what you're listening to right now, predictions. So it's that, but in text form. And
in text form.
If I could do it in POG form, it would be better. So as we go along, we do this. You know what to do. Leave a like. Leave a comment with your thoughts on what you think is going to happen. Subscribe if you haven't done that already. Ring that notification bell. Or if you want to take advantage of the different other things on this marketplace, let me switch my graphic over here. Look at that. We got Redbubble and TeePublic for some t-shirts and all sorts of other types of merchandise. You can get mugs and you can get shower curtains and everything. There's designs for a Smark Out moment, as well as a mango tees for just completely random things. And Fanboys Anonymous. If you like the Fanboys Anonymous brand and you're over on fanboysanonymous.com and the whole geek culture thing speaks to you, then check out the TeePublic and Redbubble stuff for that. But if you want to throw a little spare change our way in another way, then you have that thanks button, and you've got the Patreon, and if you click join on YouTube, you got access to the same members only content, the Darkcast, the Pick a Poison tier, and all the other kind of things like that. So you want to help us keep the lights on, check out all those things on the marketplace, and share this video, or if you're listening to this on the audio only stuff like iTunes. Well, actually, iTunes isn't a thing anymore. I keep saying iTunes. I'm so used to that. Is that Apple Music? Apple Podcasts? Whatever it is. I don't know. I have a 3-month YouTube premium subscription from buying a computer.
You have the ad blocker and you don't watch a lot of it on TV.
Right.
But YouTube Premium is I would honestly argue it as one of the most necessary things you could get, because YouTube is getting greedy with the ads. Anytime I'm on anyone else's YouTube, I'm like, I don't know how you do this, because ad-free YouTube is the way to go.
Ad-free for everything except for these channels. There you go.
That's right. Give us money. Nobody else.
Just click on the different playlists that are on here and just let it go for days and days and days at a time. I'm not joking.
We're definitely having fun here going into this show. It's nice to be it's going to be a fun show. There's 5 championship matches. They've all been built up through AEW television, but it's going to be a fun show. And I guarantee there should be a surprise or two, because Ring of Honor is still new.
Yeah.
For example, we know that Claudio Castagnoli would have been a surprise for this show had Brian not gotten hurt.
That's something I'm going to loop back to, because I think that spoils what's happening here. But yeah, I am excited about this. All 5 matches are things that I'm interested in checking out. So let's just start diving into it. We got the 2 out of 3 falls match for the ROH Tag Team Championship. We got the Briscoes challenging FTR. I'm assuming FTR is going to retain here, and that this is going to be one of those 2-1 deals where FTR gets the first pinfall, Briscoes get the second one, FTR gets the third, or Briscoes and then FTR. But I am definitely 100% going with FTR retaining here. There is way too much that's been built up about them being the title holders of multiple different companies, and we don't really know what the Briscoes contract situation is as far as I'm aware. They seem to be working Impact, and that should separate them at least a little bit. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of interest in bringing them in AEW, and there might be some lapse over there with whoever doesn't want them in the AEW space. Might not want them in Ring of Honor either. Maybe it's a Warner call. I don't know. But the Briscoes seem to me like they are going into this as challengers that make sense to fight FTR more so than the people that are going to beat FTR.
If the Briscoes win here, first of all, this match would be great. 2 out of 3 falls, the 2 of the best tag teams of the modern era. This should be a lot of fun to watch. They had the best match at Supercard, and it wasn't even close. But if the Briscoes win here, and we'll get into what I think is going to happen with all the other title matches, then it would sort of just be like Ring of Honor just going back to being Ring of Honor. Like, okay, Briscoes are your tag champs, and so is your TV champ, and hey, everything is as it was. It's just now under Tony Khan. And I think the Briscoes are with Impact, so I don't see that happening. I think this is just a nice way to close that chapter for the Briscoes. And
Same
I think
here.
FTR will win. Yeah,
I think that the mission statement for this event is kind of twofold. Obviously, they want to have a great show and they want to get a lot of money and, the same thing that you would do with any of these. But I think that this is kind of, we got Supercard out of the way. Some of those matches were already semi-booked before Tony Khan got his hands on it. Now this is what Tony Khan envisions, and you're going to see some changes, and some people might not like that because they just want pure Ring of Honor and that's it. But I think that this is like, okay, now I've got the keys to the kingdom. How do I want to set up Ring of Honor going forward? And FTR is in a perfect spot where why wouldn't you have them be your tag team champions? They are easily one of the best tag teams, I would say, ever. On top of the idea of just like in the modern era, they're on fire. They got momentum. You can trust them based off of everything that they've been doing in AEW. I don't think I would be too willing to just be like, let's give it back to the Briscoes and then take all the potential flack that comes with that. And then how do you figure out the Impact situation and all? Just too messy.
And then not to, start a phrase that we're going to say a lot during this podcast, I'm sure. But they're also under contract to Tony Khan and AEW / Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that they're going to win.
Yeah. Keeping it in-house makes a lot of sense. Now, this doesn't really apply to some of the other matches because everybody else is signed to AEW, right?
Yes.
But I do think that we're going to see a title change for the ROH Women's World Championship. Mercedes Martinez is going in as champion, and I've said for the past few years I'm a big fan of Mercedes Martinez. I was, oh man, I want WWE to pick her up, and then they did, and then it was like, why aren't I doing anything with her? And then I hope she goes to AEW, and then she went to AEW, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome, great. But she's fighting Serena Deeb, and as much as it would be totally fine with Martinez just retaining and okay, cool, she's champion of that, that's awesome. I think that it makes a lot more sense for Serena Deeb to be the champion. She's got a history of being a wrestling coach. Her whole gimmick is that she's the woman of 1,000 moves or 1,000 holds, or I forget how they distinguish that. She didn't win the AEW Women's World Championship, and this is kind of, look, you can't win that. We're clearly not going to give you the TBS title because that is not leaving Jade Cargill anytime soon. Why wouldn't this be the next best option, right?
Yep. And I think she is, and I think she will be in like a trainer role.
Mhm.
Because we still don't know if Ring of Honor is going to be just a sister company, a feeder system, an NXT-like system. So there's still a lot of question marks. But either way, I think Deeb fits perfectly here.
This is one of the I would say actually it is the match that I'm most confident in saying. I just can't see a scenario where Deeb doesn't win it, because you're gonna want to, like, title changes make a pay-per-view exciting. You get people talking, oh my god, it's a whole new era for Ring of Honor because we have these new champions and everything. Deeb is, I'd bet the house on that if I could, and I was a gambler, but I'm not.
It's not the only match I feel comfortable betting the house on, surprisingly, but I'd bet the house on Deeb myself.
There's one other one that gives it a run for its money.
Yeah.
It's not Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia, though, because that ROH...
we're going to get a new champion there.
See, I don't think that we're going to get a new champion for that one. The ROH Pure Championship, by the way, is on the line. Yuta's going in as champion. Daniel Garcia would make sense as the champion in the sense of he's been pushed since the onset of joining AEW, and clearly Tony Khan's a fan of him and everything, but I think that there's one other title, and potentially even the two other titles could change hands, where it's not going to be like, every title but the ROH tag titles. It could happen. We could see, it's a crazy night of all these titles changing hands, but they like Wheeler Yuta too. And if he loses it now, I think that kind of hurts his standing in Blackpool Combat Club. Right. Whereas if, Garcia wins, what do they necessarily do with him?
I think this one comes down to, like we were talking about earlier, what's the future of this brand and where are they going on TV? Because if they're going on TV relatively soon, then it comes down to who's more valuable to AEW TV. And I think Garcia might be more valuable to AEW because he's with Jericho, but also it makes perfect sense to have him as the pure champion. And I think that Wheeler can lose.
The other part about it that I think is an offset, correct me if I'm wrong, but the pure championship is very like wrestling heavy focused, like this is a wrestler's belt, right?
Yep.
Doesn't that kind of fly in the face of the whole sports entertainer instead of a wrestler?
But in the gimmick that he's calling himself a sports entertainer just because Jericho is, but he's actually like the best wrestler.
I guess that never translated to me. I just assumed that he was supposed to be just a part of the group,
Yeah, and I mean, that is true. They could always get away with, you beat me because that wasn't a sports entertainment match, but I don't know. This one's definitely a toss-up.
This was very much more of a 50-50 scenario, yeah.
And I think no matter who wins, the company wins.
True. I'm cool with Yuta keeping it. I'm cool with Garcia becoming the champion. It's a no-lose scenario.
But the reality is, if Yuta wins, that BCC going into All Out with 3 champions, 2 of which are going to be from Ring of Honor. And that's wild to me.
And that could be even the plan. Really pushing Blackpool Combat Club.
Could be.
Plus, we don't know. I mean, maybe there's other people that are in the mix of like, hey, we've got this person who could fight for the Pure Championship coming down the line that used to be part of Ring of Honor, or this person part of AEW. Without having any kind of a semblance of a roster, it's hard to go, wow, there's no challengers for Yuta after this, or God, Garcia's got 2 people, then he's done with this, or like not like WWE where you look at like Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's Championship and you're like, all right, after Ronda Rousey, she clearly is going to have a feud with Lacey. She's clearly going to have a feud with
she's not beating Ronda, but we'll get there next week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. We got SummerSlam coming up for another edition of the Pay-Per-View-Point, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, I do think that I'm leaning a little bit more towards Yuta. You're leaning a little bit more towards Garcia?
I'll go with Garcia for this one.
Now, Callum's not with us tonight, obviously, but if he's able to join us for the hot tags, we're going to get his opinion. So he might be the tiebreaker of this. Or he might just be like, what the fuck is the matter with you? It's clearly so-and-so. Then we'll be like, you know what? That's a good point.
Although I must say, this is not not the hot tags, but thank God they're not doing AJ Styles and Logan Paul like you guys seem to be suggesting. So I won that one.
They could still, Shut up. they did announce, or not announce, but the WrestleVotes did say they already don't like the card that they created, so we could get some changes on.
Shut up.
So, Cain Velasquez. So now the ROH World Television Championship, a title that I'm not fond of because I don't like TV titles because I don't see the point in them. Why? But whatever, because they're all on TV. What's the point of a TV title? It is TV.
All right. All right.
But you got that is on the line. Samoa Joe going in as champion, and he is fighting Jay Lethal, a perennial Ring of Honor guy. This one, I think it's kind of a toss-up as well. I keep going back and forth because I could see why both could win. Joe, in that scenario, he is the bigger name. He could draw more attention to ROH by just being a part of it from people that are, lapsed fans of TNA and Impact and all that and WWE run and everything. Joe is definitely a bigger name than Jay Lethal. And, there's that potential of like maybe they want to set up something with like a Satnam Singh versus Joe thing. I don't really think that's like the highest priority, but, it's a possibility. Maybe you get some other people that can challenge Joe better too and all that. But then at the same time, it's Jay Lethal. And Lethal is not only like the ROH guy for 10 years now or whatever.
For a long time.
He's also not done friggin' anything in AEW. This guy got signed and then dropped off the face of the earth.
And that's why he needs to win and just kind of go back to Ring of Honor and,
be a bigger fish in a smaller pond.
Yeah, serve the wrestling industry that way.
If I'm booking it, I'm giving it to Lethal. But I'm not 100% certain that is going to happen. I am leaning more towards that direction. And if you see online that I've got, Joe in a prediction on e-wrestling news and Lethal a prediction on Smark Moment, and then on Bleacher I got, it might be a tie or something. It's because they just keep going back and forth. Right, yeah, and I'm publishing on different days. But it's certainly where I'm hoping, without knowing the future plans, I'm hoping it's Lethal because that makes more sense to me. And that it's just a matter of he beats Joe because there's two other people that are getting involved. Maybe even another person too. Maybe they start a feud with, like Lance Archer comes out and attacks Joe and it's like, oh, okay, that's going to spill over in the AEW Dynamite and all. But I would rather Joe be a part of Dynamite and Rampage and Lethal to stick with the ROH thing than for them to prioritize Joe in Ring of Honor and Lethal to make more appearances on Dynamite. I do still want that, yeah, and this crossover that can happen with no problem whatsoever. But I am leaning a little bit more towards Lethal here.
Yeah, I'm going with Lethal. I think Joe can draw eyes, but I think when he's drawing eyes, it should be for the AEW brand. And they should try to do more with him over there. I still don't know what Ring of Honor is going to be, but I think that Jay Lethal, as ROH champion of anything, kind of adds up. And I want to take this time to say, I hope that there are new uniform belts introduced at this show. First show truly under Tony Khan. You have a new logo. We've got like the weird logo that DJ Z made or Joaquin Wilde made on some of the belts. We got the like 2002 belts for some of the titles. So like, let's get some uniform here.
I mean, Tony Khan loves his belts. And
he's got belts up his sleeves, as he said in that one interview.
I'm hoping for new titles too. And the best way to institute new champions and, hey, we got a new belt, give it to the new champion and all that. Obviously FTR and potentially if anybody else like Yuta or whatever, then maybe not the same. But that new logo is something that's pretty crisp and that's going to look good in a title, I think. I like it.
Yeah, I do as well.
Now, I could see a scenario where Lethal doesn't win this title because he's saved for a potential world championship match down the line, because I 100% expect Claudio to beat Jonathan Gresham.
100%. That's it. It's obvious to me that he's going to win. I know a lot of people were making a big to-do about the fact that Gresham worked the dark tapings this past weekend in Orlando without the title.
Right. Which, for anybody who's like, what's the connection there? They're going to air the AEW dark footage later after this event. So that's something that if you had Gresham pop up with the championship after he's already lost it, it wouldn't make any sense unless you just said, hey, this was pre-recorded ahead of time, which they try not to say on
which they don't
things.
do. Do you watch Dark? I've been watching Dark lately. These shows are 2 hours long.
I haven't watched an episode of Dark in months.
I've been watching Dark in recent weeks, and it's been cutting into NXT.
That's crazy. Why?
I don't know
we
why,
we got way too much wrestling. You had asked in our group chat, just off on the side, what would you be interested in, or what would make you interested in wrestling again, like to be excited? And it seems all across the board, people can agree, less is more. Stop giving me all this. Let's get rid of NXT UK. Let's get rid of an hour's worth of this. Let's get rid of an hour's of that. And, yeah.
It's too much to keep up with. But in that vein, Claudio just got to AEW, and unfortunately, I think he's going to be spending a lot of time in Ring of Honor because he's winning that belt.
Now, like you said earlier, Tony Khan mentioned on the media scrum for Forbidden Door, the original plan was to bring Claudio in for this show, Death Before Dishonor, not to bring him in as part of AEW. And then when Bryan Danielson got injured, he was like, you want to fill in that spot? And that's where we got him for Forbidden Door, and we got him for Blood and Guts. And if that's the case, I can't imagine a scenario where he would have brought Claudio in for the championship match to headline this pay-per-view, and he's losing to Jonathan Gresham? Nah, come on. Claudio's never won the world title, and even though this isn't the same as the world title in WWE or something, it is still a world title. It'll be recognized back to that capacity in some point. He'll be able to scratch that itch. He'll be the head of this company. It is...
And you get the glory of saying, it took me less than 2 months to put a world title on Cesaro, bitch.
Right.
That's what it is.
He could do it for the media scrum afterward. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't give the title to Claudio. I mean, WWE had him for all these years and they never gave him the ball.
Like, a world title to Claudio. Like,
right.
It's just literally this, like, no, he should be world champion. And I think it will be.
And Gresham's held it for like 200 something days, right? Yeah. So,
which is insane.
I mean, it's not like he just won the championship at Supercard and he's dropping it. He is the smaller of the two, which isn't, the end of the world or anything, but it is a scenario where, given the two, it makes more sense for the bigger guy to win in most matches. Now, of course, it's fake, it's scripted, so that's not have to be the case. Rey Mysterio is a multi-time champion. Month of Mysterio, look at that, we're celebrating him. But the name recognition as well is so fervently on Claudio's side. There's no comparison. You put that title on Claudio, all the Cesaro fans and all that are going to be interested in checking out Ring of Honor. You keep it on Jonathan Gresham, you're on a stagnant kind of pace. That's not a, shot at Gresham, but there's no forward advancement in that. Anybody who's been following a Ring of Honor before is following it. Anybody new, well, they're going to go, it's the same thing that I didn't bother watch before.
This is the one spot where I think we're getting a surprise. And I'm going to say whether he helps Claudio and joins the BCC, which he's got a lot of history with Regal and Bryan, or he eventually wants to fight Claudio. I think Chris Hero shows up here.
I'd be cool with that. I mean, he has his ROH history. He's got nothing that's going on right now as far as I'm aware. Like, he's not signed anywhere. Sort of
doing seminars and stuff.
And maybe he's brought in, in a different capacity. Maybe he's more of a trainer that just makes some appearances and stuff instead of being like, okay, yeah, he's fighting for the ROH title.
Gets, a match for the ROH title. They fight FTR. they cross a couple things off the bucket list, and then he can focus mostly on training.
Right. That's where I could see that being. I'd be cool with that. I'd be cool with a bunch of other people popping up. You know, anybody who isn't already signed and is worth a damn. I want to see them signed somewhere, and I want to see them do something.
What do we do with the women? Like a good woman surprise.
Who's like a free agent even now? Because I mean, there's certain people. You know, I mean, I do want her more so in AEW, but I mean, the crossover between the two, it's
you're getting her in AEW either way, like
right, huh? Yeah, I'd be cool with that. What is she calling herself? King Coda or something?
King Coda. She comes out, addresses Deeb after she wins. Yeah, I'd be cool with it.
Definitely somebody I would pay attention to if she was like ready for it and everything. Eventually, Candice LeRae.
Candice and Johnny at some point. I can't wait to see them back.
Although I still just want Johnny in WWE. I want him to be.
I definitely don't want Candice. I can say that comfortably. Like I'm good with Candice elsewhere. I want Johnny in WWE if Sean and Hunter get control of the roster.
Right, yeah. If Johnny can be Daniel Bryan, then there you go. I want Johnny there. If not, then obviously the next best case scenario is him in AEW. But plenty of matches across the board that I would want to see. Who else is even... I don't know. I mean, that's... I'm going to try to take a look at like some of the people that have been released over the past year or so.
Tegan Knox
would be cool.
She'd be great. I guess she'd be Nixon Newell again. Who else got released?
Because there's like Persia doesn't seem like she's 100% a fit, and she's doing like the OnlyFans thing, so that's more important right now, I guess. Although that's not, obviously, it's mutually exclusive or anything. We've seen people like Athena and everybody pop up. You know, Tony Storm's already there. I can't imagine that we're going to see, for instance, the Iconics in that.
Io still under contract, yeah?
Io still is, yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
Frankie Monet, I think, is an Impact, right? Ty Valkyrie.
Yes, Ty Valkyrie. But she's killing it everywhere. I wouldn't be surprised if she just showed up.
Mia Yim, of course, is already spoken for. I don't know. I mean, there's not many other people that aren't. They're either just doing something elsewhere or wouldn't
Dakota
really
is
fit.
The one that's really like she hasn't done anything yet.
Yeah, she's probably the biggest one.
Tegan. Yeah, they just haven't done anything.
Yeah, because I mean,
it's funny because they were in a tag team for that whole time, weren't they?
Like Eva Marie and B-Fab and whatnot. Like they don't speak to me in that capacity. Lana's not going to pop up in Ring of Honor, you know.
B-Fab will continue to run the circuit with the other Hero members. Eva Marie will just go back to WWE if she wants to go back to wrestling.
Yeah.
No, but listen, Dakota Kai is a great name. I'm surprised she hasn't been spoken for. But I'd love to see what she could do. Yeah,
I'd be down for that. And then, I mean, across the board, there's so many different people that in the men's division as well, too, that I'd be like, all right, you know, I'm interested in seeing this person show up here and there and there. Plenty of the people have already been in AEW, but of course, there's crossover, so I'd like to see certain people wrestle for Ring of Honor if they're a part of AEW. But anybody on the open market that you would like to see pop up? You know, are you like, oh man, Arturo Ruas or something? I don't know.
None that I can none that speak out. Like, oh man, we really need to see this person in ROH.
Like Kurt Stallion or
yeah, like I'm not in a rush to see Alex Zane. Although he would be good, I'm not in a rush to see him sign to ROH. I'm not in a rush to see a lot of people that are working the indies sign with ROH. I'd like to see like some indie statesman, like, okay, Alley Catch is doing her thing in GCW. I'd like to see her try her hand, you know, at Ring of Honor or AEW. I'd like to see, you know, Effie, if Effie can bring his style to Ring of Honor. I'm all for people getting a bigger platform. Because look, I know everybody's down with the DIY these days, but there's something for me, and I'm sure for you too, because we're of that era, where it's like, you got to get on a bigger TV product, you know?
I don't want I've said it before, I don't want everybody's got their own little promotion that they run 3 shows a year and aren't they having fun? I want the 2 big companies and the third company that is off on the side and that's it. Yeah.
Honestly, like if Cardona was healthy, I'd be like, Cardona's killing it right now. Let's get him back on TV because he deserves that run.
What's Oni Lorcan up to? He could be a good fit for Ring of Honor.
He'd be a phenomenal fit for Ring of Honor. He hasn't done much that I know of.
Biff Busick, yeah, I mean, he would be great as far as somebody popping over from AEW.
Danny Burch? Him and Danny Burch need to have a match with FTR just because. Yeah,
I'd be down for it. I think Burch, I don't know if he was still injured or not, but yeah, he had some kind of an injury, if I remember him correctly. Yeah, like he, I'd like to see Tony Nese make more appearances, crossing over from AEW to Ring of Honor. There's plenty of people, throw a Trey Baxter in there or throw, Davey Boy Smith Jr., Harry Smith.
I think he might be spoken for with the NWA, but would love to see him
do something.
A platform as well,
Still want him in WWE though.
Me too.
I don't know what the hell happened with that. It was like, we're gonna bring you back. By the way, number 9. What?
See ya.
Don't understand that whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that I'd be interested in checking out. So if they end up having some kind of surprises, that'd be awesome. Of course, I'm still rooting for, this show to just be pure entertainment more than anything else. But I'm not opposed to any kind of shocking, oh man, look at that, this person's back into the mix, or whatever. If we get like Tyler Breeze shows up, I'll be like, fucking great, love Tyler Breeze. I don't think he's popping up for this, by the way, but
I would love for him to show up somewhere.
He's still doing the YouTube show, right? Did he have like some kind of deal with just working with Woods on that?
He hasn't even been doing much of that. Well, actually, he is doing the Battle of the Brand, so maybe that's what they're just doing with him. Still, I want him to wrestle too.
Yeah.
But
they might, I'm assuming, of course, that they are going to add more matches to this card because it's only 5. I mean, maybe it's a short one, I don't know. But currently it's...
I'd be all for a short pay-per-view with, if you're going to go 2 hours on a media call, which since he's doing one beforehand, I assume he's doing one after, make the pay-per-view short. I'm okay with that.
I'd be down for it. This is happening on Saturday, right? Saturday 23rd. And if we get these 5 matches and nothing more, the 5 matches seem like they're going to be great, depending on what your whole position is as far as the price ticket and all. It's different for all across the board. It's like, $40 here, $30 there, $20 here or something. I don't know. But I am definitely going to be checking it out. I am assuming that we're going to get a couple more matches added to the card. That'll make the price point make a little bit more sense as well. And then when we get to the hot tags later on this week on Friday afternoon, then we're going to address any of the changes if they say anything tonight on Dynamite. I am fully, of course, expecting them to be like, by the way, there's this Ring of Honor event, because why wouldn't they advertise it?
They do that sometimes.
Yeah, to just be like, let's try to speed run this with Excalibur. We could just be like, and we got Ring of Honor before Dishonor's coming up on this pay-per-view. It's going to be the ROH World Championship. Jonathan Gresham is going to get Claudio Castagnoli, and then Samoa Joe is going to... It's just kind of like, dude, take a breath, man. But we could get that. We could get maybe the return of, the start of some sort of tournament thing, or maybe we get, some new titles introduced or something. I have no idea whatsoever what we're in store for, except for the fact that these 5 matches seem like they're going to be fun. So I'm excited for it. And I, of course, will be doing my normal coverage for like the AEW stuff and the WWE stuff for Ring of Honor for the first time, I think. So it might be the first time that that's on Smark Moment even. Period. Just like, that's hey, awesome. That it's results for that.
That's the kind of thing I want to see more of. Like, this is the point of having all these promotions, isn't it?
Kinda, yeah. So that is coming up this weekend. In typical fashion, of course, hot tags coming up next. We'll address those changes if they make them. And then on Saturday, we'll be doing a normal Pay-Per-Viewpoint breakdown. So go to smarkamoment.com, see the live results, check out the other things that I'll post elsewhere. I'll be having the typical thread up on the Megamaniacs Facebook group for anybody that wants to chat about that. And then we'll be doing our live post-show Pay-Per-Viewpoint podcast right after ROH, because that's another thing, it's a normal pay-per-view as far as we're concerned. So why bother to wait and then talk about it on the next Hot Tags or something? So that's it's going to be interesting. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it too.
And of course, as I mentioned before, if you want to like and follow and share and favorite and subscribe and do all those good things to this channel and to fanboysanonymous.com and whatever else it is that's going on under a mango tree, then do that, because that is great. The more support you show, the more things that I can do with those, extra likes and extra revenue and all that.
Times, good things are good.
Good things are good, 100%. Bad things are bad too. Screw the bad things. Do all the good things.
Bad things, yeah.
No thumbs downs. And if you follow me at Tony Mango, then you might get some random questions, like how for some reason last night I was just like really adamant about, I want to know what everybody's favorite school lunch was.
That was so weird, but I was there for it. I was like, all right.
And now I want
chicken cutlet sandwiches.
Right, now I want a chicken cutlet sandwich more than anything. Not more than anything. I mean, $1 billion would be great, but
yeah.
It's not like I get an option. You want a chicken cutlet sandwich, or do you want like immortality and whatever? And I'd be like, that sandwich looks pretty good. But I'm pretty hungry, so I can't wait to eat something after this. But in the meantime, of course, if you follow me, like I said, then you should also follow what Rob has got going on over there at Dude Felice.
Yep, add Dude Felice everywhere. The eventual dudefelice.com will be back. Will not be back. We'll just be up and running at some point. And yeah, I'm just excited for the future of wrestling and the future of us.
The future of us, yes. All right, everybody. Well, that is it for this Ring of Honor Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of Smack Talk. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, let us know. If you didn't, then, go to hell.
That's something you could say to people, yeah.
Then we will see you next time, everybody. But for now, this has been another Smark Out moment, and we are being counted out.